Let's recreate the macOS dock in Webflow using just CSS for animations. So as you can see, I have a completed example here. And as we hover through the icons, we have a scaling effect going on for the hovered element and the adjacent elements around it. And this is done in Webflow using just CSS, so there's no JavaScript involved. So here I just have this dock wrapper, which is just a centered flex for my dock. And the dock here is just set to flex with some padding and gap. And we're gonna start by placing a div in here. By the way, I'm using the shortcuts, so Command E or Command K, or if you're a Windows, Control E, Control K. You can open this, and then I just write div, just to save time from clicking here and dragging a div in. And then we can give this a class of dock icon. So this will be a div that includes the image that we need. And let me just put an image here. Let's use Figma. And I'll use the class image contain that I have here ready. Just to set this to contain to make sure it doesn't stretch in a weird way. And then let's start styling the dock icon. So I'm gonna start by giving it a specific height. I'm gonna go with 2.25 rem. And I'm also gonna set the flex child to don't shrink, don't grow, just to make sure it doesn't get squished by the other icons. We're gonna try to do as much as we can in Webflow and then leave whatever is not possible with what we have here using CSS. So let's start with the hovering. So we're gonna switch to hover. And whenever we're hovering, we need to change some transforms. So we're gonna move it up by, let's say 20%. Oops, that's 20. And we'll also add another transform and make it 1.4. So it will grow by this much whenever we hover. And let's look at how that looks like. We need some transition. So let's add a transform transition. Maybe let's make it a bit slower, like not 3 milliseconds, 300. And then we'll hover. That looks pretty good. All right, so let's duplicate this a few times and add some more images. And now we're gonna start noticing some issues, like whenever I'm hovering, there isn't much space between them. If you try the native macOS experience, you always maintain some gap between them. And here, because scaling doesn't affect the siblings, you don't have that gap. So it seems like we have to do that ourselves. So we can try to fix that by going to hover and setting the padding to something like, I'm gonna use % here, just to make it relative to everything around it. So I'm going to use 1.5%. And we also need some transition. So let's go here and find padding. Where is padding? Here. Let's make sure it's the same. And let's see what we got. Okay, already looking way better. I'm gonna quickly add a few more icons and we'll get to the details of hovering or scaling the other ones around it. Whenever we hover one of the images, you'll see that the edge of the dock becomes way too covered, and we want to kind of maintain the gap that we had. So in order to do that, we're gonna go to our CSS over here and let's target the dock, and we'll say, whenever this dock has a dock icon that is being hovered, then we will do something for it. And what we'll do is padding, and let's do padding left, and we'll do 16 pixels. And we'll also do the same for padding right. All right, so whenever we hover, it grows. The only problem is that it grows too fast without any transition. So we're gonna give it a little bit of a padding transition, make sure this is 300 like everything else. And now it maintains that gap nicely. Cool. Now let's do the scaling of the images around the one that we are currently hovering. So let's go back to our CSS, and our class is called dock icon. And the way we're gonna do this is by targeting the direct sibling of the one we're hovering, but also we will be targeting any element, any dock element that has a sibling that is being hovered. So if that doesn't make sense, it will make sense in a bit. So we're targeting the dock icon whenever it is hovered. So whenever we hover the dock icon, we will target the sibling. So the plus means direct sibling of this. So whichever one we're hovering, we will target the sibling. And let's do this. And we'll give it a transform of scale. Let's do 1.2. So we did 1.4 for the main one, and for the ones next to it, we'll do 1.2. And we'll also do translate y minus 10%. So we did 20% for the main one, we'll do 10% for this one. And if you remember, we also had an issue with the padding. So we'll do padding left 1%, let's say 1%. And we'll also do the same for the right. So let's see what we have so far. Go to preview, and you can see whichever icon I'm hovering, the one next to it also grows in size. Pretty good so far. So we need to apply the same styles to the one before the item being hovered. So how do we target that? I'll do a comma here and go to a new line so we can write the new styles here. And I'm gonna copy this class again. So in order to target the sibling before, because the plus only targets the siblings after, we have to use the has again. So the has selector, we will use this to know whenever an icon has a sibling that is being hovered, then we will apply the same styles. So whenever it has a sibling of that icon that is being hovered, we will also apply the same. So when I save and I hover, we already have all the styles applied. This is already pretty good, but if you want to also target the second sibling so that we have a little bit more of a smoother curve, then we can just go here, copy this, we'll paste it down. And instead of just targeting the sibling dock icon, we will target the sibling of the dock icon. Down here, we can also target the sibling of the sibling that is being hovered. So whenever an icon has a sibling that has a sibling that is being hovered, and that is how we target, like if we want to target this one, then if this one has a sibling and this sibling has a sibling that is being hovered, so this one is actually being hovered, then we will target this one. And by using the plus and then plus again, we also target the one that is 2 spots ahead. And now that we added that, we can also decrease these. So let's do 1.1. We'll do 5%. And I think we can keep this. Let's check. Maybe let's go to preview. And that looks pretty good. I think we need to increase the padding that we add to the dock itself, because now that we have more items, 16 pixels is not enough. So maybe we'll use % so that it depends on how big it actually is. Maybe we'll do 2%. Let's try that. So let's look at the preview. Yep, that already looks way better. And that's it. We didn't even have to publish to see the changes. and it works with CSS with no extra JavaScript, so it doesn't really affect our performance at all. If you want to see more of this kind of stuff, please let me know so that I know what to focus on next. Other than that, I hope you have a good day. Bye.